Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Natural Food Pantry Education Initiative. Joining me today for a discussion on metabolism is Dr. Kate Rheaume, naturopathic doctor. Dr. Kate Rheaume is a graduate and former faculty member of the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. As a very reputable educator, Dr. Kate speaks internationally on many topics related to health and wellness. She is the author of the best-selling book, Vitamin K2 and the Calcium Paradox, How a Little Known Vitamin Could Save Your Life. We are fortunate to have Dr. Kate with us as a regular presenter through our Natural Food Pantry Education series. Welcome back, Dr. Kate. It's great to have you with us for a discussion on a topic that's very fitting at this time of year with everybody committing to New Year's resolutions.
Yes, it's always a popular topic, it seems. And now this time of year, you're right, even more so. It's on people's minds.
After the holidays. So pretty much everybody has heard of metabolism. We've all heard the term, and I think most people associate metabolism with weight regulation, weight gain, weight loss. Metabolism is a bit more complex than that. Can you explain to people exactly what metabolism is?
Well, it's actually, a technical term, even a medical term that can refer to many different aspects of our physiology, how quickly we metabolize, say, a drug or a hormone or something. There's lots of different things that can apply with that term. But you're right, Natasha. This is often a word that we use. The most common way we use this refers to how easily or likely we are to, say, gain or lose weight. We speak of people who have a high or a fast metabolism, find it easy to lose weight. People with a slow metabolism have the opposite. And that's one way to think of metabolism. And actually, at this time of year, when people may be starting to think about weight loss, I would prefer that they think more about how can I improve or heal my metabolism versus just how can I shed some pounds.
Absolutely. And so on the topic of metabolism, what exactly controls our metabolism?
There are lots of things, for sure. Genetic factors do play a role, but not as much as you think. So just because your family tends to be a certain way in terms of how easily or quickly or difficult it is to gain or lose weight doesn't necessarily mean that's the case for you. But genetics play a role. Lifestyle absolutely plays a role. How active you are, how much muscle mass you have makes a big difference. Hormones can play a role, things like insulin, thyroid hormones, testosterone, even for men and women, as well as what we eat plays a major role, major impact on our metabolism, our blood sugar levels, and even how well we sleep can impact our metabolism.
Yes, I'll come back to that one in a bit because I know that's a big one. Diets. Let's address diets. We've all tried them. Most of us have tried them anyways. And most of us understand that they don't succeed long term. In fact, diets can be very harmful to us, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. There's that whole yo-yo issue with dieting. So can you explain a little bit more about diets and why it is that they don't work?
Yeah, this is the time of year people may be starting to think about going on a diet. And even just saying that suggests that eventually you're going to go off the diet. So, anything you do that's just temporary, especially with something extreme, something that you're not sticking with over the long term, is likely not to be successful over the long term. But even more concerningly, many things that people do in terms of diets or again like short-term extreme changes in their eating habits to lose weight can slow the metabolism. It actually can ultimately make it more difficult. Your body can go into like a conservation mode where it thinks maybe we need to save, there's a famine happening, maybe we need to save and be more efficient with our energy in case food isn't forthcoming, because our bodies have evolved to deal with things like famines, which we don't have to deal with now, but our body doesn't necessarily know that.
Right. So how would you define a diet? Because there's so many different eating programs out there. Would you consider all eating programs a diet? The ketogenic lifestyle, for instance, a lot of people are on the keto bandwagon. So is that a lifestyle or is that a diet?
Well, that's a great question. And I suppose they do cross the line. I guess when you think of you can use the term my diet in terms of whatever you eat is your diet. But when we talk about these types of diets, yes, it can be something that is a departure, maybe a radical departure from what you normally do, and you're thinking, well, I'm just going to do this for, this period of time, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, or until I lose 10 pounds, and then I'm going to go back to my normal eating. So anything that's a change like that. And there certainly over the years have been many extreme fad diets
Yes.
that I don't think is so much prevalent out there, but there certainly are still eating plans that people will follow that may be, short-term or long-term, a departure from what their normal, eating style may be.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues is a lot of them are calorie restricted, right? So that's putting them into that fasting famine mode. Um, yeah.
Well, and a lot of this is based on this concept of, and anytime you talk about weight loss or even metabolism for long enough, somebody's going to pipe up and say, losing weight's just a matter of eating less and exercising more. And to a certain extent, and for some people, yes, that is the case, but depending on the individual and what's going on, that may again at some point slow their metabolism and actually cause their body to go into that conservation mode. And then, yes, you get this yo-yo weight gain, weight loss phenomenon.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's, like you said, there's so many factors that can affect our metabolism, and hormones, I know, are one of those factors. So people, particularly women in our age group, the middle age sort of range, will often struggle with weight gain associated with hormonal changes. Would you like to talk a little bit about that and explain how our hormones can impact our weight?
Yes, because this is really important and something that can be overlooked. And if it is overlooked, it can make weight loss or just maintaining a healthy weight very difficult. And hormones, and this is where it's good to work one-on-one with a practitioner, because typically you need some sort of evaluation, some kind of blood test. Thyroid is a big one. If the thyroid function is low, weight gain, feeling cold, and other symptoms of a slowed metabolism are very typical of that. So that's one thing to be aware of and definitely get checked out. Thyroid has a major role on our metabolism. Other hormones as well, yes, things like estrogen, progesterone, but as I mentioned before, testosterone for men and women, that maintains muscle mass, for example. And having enough muscles, the more muscles you have, the more calories and energy you're burning all the time, even when you're sleeping. So if testosterone is low for men and women, it can be difficult to maintain muscle mass. So there really is a lot when it comes to hormones that definitely is worth getting checked out if you're struggling with your weight.
Yes. Many people struggle particularly with abdominal fat, especially when it comes to hormonal imbalances. Is there a major difference between abdominal fat and other types of body fat?
There actually is. So it's not that we can spot reduce per se, but fat cells in our arms and legs are mostly just inert insulation, just storage of extra energy. But the abdominal fat cells, actually, people will comment on this. They will notice that they'll sort of grab that spare tire and say, this is stubborn. And it is. It's different than the fat cells in the rest of the body. Once abdominal fat cells reach a certain critical mass, they actually change their nature from being these inert insulation cells to actually fairly metabolically active tissue that is more stubborn. It doesn't respond to diet and exercise as much. It, in fact, responds more to hormones. The big hormone when it comes to abdominal fat is insulin, is a big one. Cortisol from stress is another hormone that will feed abdominal fat cells, and absolutely stress can cause us to gain weight around the middle. That's not your imagination, and it's not your imagination that fat can be more stubborn to remove, because again, that whole calories in, calories out doesn't apply so much to abdominal fat. It's hormones in, hormones out is the new equation for belly fat.
Right. And I have one last question for you to wrap it up. So what is your number one piece of advice for people who wish to regulate and manage their weight this year? And what are some healthy goals that might help them accomplish this?
That is an excellent question. And, based on all the factors we talked about, it's clear that it's, can vary a lot per individual, but you really can't go wrong. And you will definitely see benefits and have an all over improvement in your health if instead of, as we said before, thinking about shedding a few pounds, instead of starting to think about how do I improve or heal my metabolism, and stabilizing blood sugar as you know, you may be thinking, well, I don't have diabetes, this doesn't apply to me. But in fact, with many people, especially with the extra abdominal fat, blood sugar is spiking, skyrocketing up in roller coaster all day long. And that drives further cravings, further insulin levels, further abdominal fat. And so, in fact, that's a great goal, regardless of everything else that's going on, that will help heal your metabolism, and then the weight loss tends to follow.
So how can listeners work on stabilizing their blood sugar levels?
Food, of course, what we eat makes the biggest impact on what our blood sugar is like during the day. What we eat at breakfast in particular can set the tone for either blood sugar that's roller coastering all day long, or one that's stable. So best tip, for example, the foods we tend to think of as breakfast foods, muffins, bagels, cereal, toast, all of those things will shoot your blood sugar up, and then it'll be up and down all day long. So protein, fat, and fiber at breakfast, a veggie omelet, Greek yogurt with some, nuts and seeds, something like that that contains protein, fat, and fiber to start the day will definitely put you on a much better path for your blood sugar than any kind of, say, cereal or anything, any high carbohydrate or refined food that you can think of.
Yes, I can certainly testify to that. I almost always include protein, fat, and fiber in my breakfast. And on the odd occasion where I might splurge and go out to a restaurant, or I'm having a big family buffet and I overindulge in the carbs, the maple syrup, and the pancakes and so on, I know I'm craving carbs all day long.
All day long, yes.
It's just a vicious cycle.
The sign that you've had a good breakfast is you don't even think about food for 4 to maybe even 5 hours after eating. You just whereas yes, you wanted to have a treat and then you're craving it all day long. You're right. I've had the same experience.
Exactly. And you mentioned sleep and the importance of muscle mass when it comes to metabolism. So what are your recommendations, just briefly, what are your recommendations around exercise? And maybe you can touch on sleep as well and how that's linked to metabolism.
Exercise is simple. I mean, not necessarily easy, but basically do whatever you can to maintain your muscle mass. We tend to lose muscle mass with age, so strength train, like do weight-bearing exercises. You don't have to bulk up. You just need to maintain your weight. Make sure you're getting in enough protein to maintain your muscle mass as well. And then when it comes to sleep, I mean, sometimes easier said than done, but make sure you're sleeping well. That's its own huge topic. And
yes, we could do another video on that.
That's right, that's right. But there's lots of things that can help get a better night's sleep. And so finding what it is that works for you, because there's a lot of impact of poor sleep, quantity or quality, on our metabolism. And so, making an effort or taking steps to improve your sleep. That's also another great, say, New Year's goals, if you're looking for one, that will eventually and ultimately help your metabolism. And it doesn't take too long.
No, it doesn't. It just requires some tweaking and adjusting. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kate, for sharing your knowledge with us again. It's always lovely to have you with us. And thank you to the listeners for chiming in and listening. For those who would like for more information, check out our website at naturalfoodpantry.ca. We have many upcoming events coming up. A lot of them are free. So check out the classes and services tab of our website. You can find more information there. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter through our website and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks, everybody. Stay healthy.